Hey guys, welcome to Unit 5, Lesson 6. So this is our last lesson in our unit on percents, and we're going to be looking at markup and discount. So in our previous lesson, we looked at tax and tip, which was a percent increase. So tax and tip were a percent of the total that you were then adding. And really the only difference we said was that a tax is a mandated increase, and then a tip is something that the customer decides to leave, usually to someone in the service industry. So in this lesson, we'll look at markup and discount. So let's think about percent markup. Discount, you're probably already pretty familiar with. Markup, maybe not. So with markup, what happens is when you go to a store and purchase something, what you have to keep in mind is that the store purchased that item from someone first. And so the store purchased that from someone that we call the wholesaler. So when you're shopping retail, but a store has to purchase its items from like a warehouse or a company or a factory at a wholesale price. So the store spends money to buy the items that are on the shelf, or the items that are being sold in the store. Then they mark that up so that when they then sell it to you in a retail store, they make a profit. They have to earn money. So let's say you go to Academy and buy a pair of tennis shoes that cost $60. That doesn't mean that the store earns all of that $60 because the store had to spend money on the shoes first. But they have to earn a profit. So in order for a store to make money, they have to mark things up. So look at the first example. It says that markup is a percent of the wholesale cost that the retail store adds to their cost in order to earn a profit. And there's a note at the bottom that points out that markup can definitely be more than 100%. So a store can more than double their wholesale cost and earn a profit. It really just kind of depends on what customers are willing to pay. And so again, markup is just a percent of the wholesale cost. So let's say the store purchases something for $30 and their markup is 180%. That means they're going to take 180% of $30 and then add that to the $30 to get their retail price, the price that the customer will pay. So this example says a local hobby shop pays $12 wholesale for a model airplane. The hobby shop charges customers $18 for the model airplane. What was the percent markup for the model airplane? So the store itself paid $12. They then marked it up and sold it for $18. So we already know that this percent markup will be less than $100 because they didn't double it. If it was 100% markup, that would mean they would charge $24. They would double the cost. So percent markup is really just a kind of percent change question. So if you think back to percent change, then we had difference between the two divided by what it was first, and then times 100, or move the decimal 2 to the right. So the difference between the two, so 18 minus 12, divided by what it was first. Well, first the store bought it for 12 before they marked it up to 18, and then times 100. So 18 minus 12 is 6. So 6 over 12 times 100. And 6 over 12 can be simplified because that's the same as a half. And we know that a half as a decimal is 0.5. And then if we move that decimal 2 to the right to take care of that times 100, then we get 50%. So this is a 50% markup. So that makes sense. So they bought it for $12 and marked it up 6. 6 is half of 12. So 6 is 50% of 12. So that's a 50% markup. Okay, next example. It cost the Nike store $8 to make a pair of Converse. They then charge buyers $60 to purchase them in the store. What is the percent of markup on Converse? Again, percent of markup is just percent change or percent increase. So we'll have difference between the two divided by what it was first, and then times 100. So in this case, that'll be 60 minus 8 divided by what it was first, and first the store bought it. It cost them 8, so divided by 8, and then times 100. And 60 minus 8 is 52. divided by what it was first times 100. So let's do 52 divided by 8. Okay, 8 will go into 52 6 times. That's 48. And then we'll raise a decimal and drop a 0. And 8 goes into 45 times, which is 40. So we get 6.5. But then remember, we have to multiply by 100 to make it a percent. So we'll move that decimal to the right, fill that hole with a 0, and that's a 650% markup, which makes sense because if they doubled it, so if their cost was $8 and they doubled that to 16, that would be 100% markup. But they actually charge 60, so that's way more than doubling, so way more than 100% markup. So it makes sense that we got that really large number. Okay, now let's head the opposite direction and think about a discount. So a discount is a percent of the total that the store is going to take away or deduct from the total. So if you walk into a store and they advertise a pair of jeans as being 40% off, well, let's say the pair of jeans costs $70, then that means the store is going to take 40% of 70 and subtract that from 70. Another way to think about that, let's say the $70 pair of jeans was 40% off. So the whole cost we call 100%. So if they're going to knock off 40%, that means you're going to pay 60%. So you'll pay 60% of 70. And if I do it that way, then I don't have that extra subtraction step. But either way works fine. And I'll show you both. So this one says Blaine wants to buy a game console that was originally priced at $350. It is on sale for 30% off. What is the sale price of the game console? So again, this wants to know the sale price. Sometimes a question will just say, how much did they save? Well, in this case, if it's 30% off, then you would just do 30% of 350, and that would tell you how much they saved. But since it wants to know the sale price, I would then have to subtract that savings from the original cost. So let's look at both ways to do this. So we'll say that this is strategy 1. So you're getting 30% of 350 taken off of the price. So we'll do 350 times 0.3, or you could do 0.30, that's the same thing. And then take care of the decimal. So 1 and 1. That means they're going to take off $105. So your discount is $105. So if the question were, how much did you save? Then $105 would be your answer. But since our question is, what is the sale price? I now have to take $350, which was the original cost, and then subtract my savings of $105. And so the sale cost would be $245. That is the sale price. So the savings was $105 and the sale price would be $245. Now, I told you there was a second way to solve this. So if we think of the whole cost as being 100%, and if it's 30% off, then that means they're going to take 30% and knock that off. That means that leaves you with paying 70%. So if they're going to take 30% off, then that means you're going to pay 70% of 350. So we could do 350 times 0.7, and then we won't have that subtraction step to worry about because we're calculating what we would pay instead of what we would save. 7 times 3 is 21, plus 3 is 24. One number after the decimal, one after the decimal, and we get 245. Now again, if you were asked how much did you save, then you would want to go ahead and do the 30% of 350, but then you would stop without that subtraction step. But if you're asked for the sale price, you've got two choices. You can find 30% of 350 since that's the discount, and then subtract that from 350, Or since they're going to take 30% off, then you can know you're going to pay 70%. So you're going to do 70% of 350 and then avoid that subtraction step. And that is it for markup and discount. Again, these are just two specific examples of when we use what we know about calculating with percents. And in the case of markup and discount, we really just have percent increase and percent decrease. It's really just the same thing, just applied to a real world situation. So if you need to see some more examples of markup and discount, I'm happy to show those to you. If you're ready for the skill check to be open, I'll do that. Thanks and have a great day.